further strengthen our fiscal position should we be in position to be challenged by something like that again, whether it would be a storm or whether it would be an unexpected impact in our revenues, recession, pandemic, anything like that. Pandemic wasn't a word we were using at the time. I'm kind of applying that retroactively. But the point was, in 2010, the City Council updated our financial policies, and those policies were the cornerstone, and have been and will continue to be, the cornerstone of our public budgeting, our fiscal management decisions, fiscal decisions, as well as our debt-related decisions. We have together used those over the course of the last 10 years to strengthen our position. One of the ways that is indicated is our upgrade by Standards & Poor's to as a AAA credit rating. That is unusual, as you well know, for a community of our size, practically unheard of. That rating was received and most recently reaffirmed in 2018. And I tell you this story only to provide context for what this evening is about. One of the things that the City Council approved in 2010, in addition to the updates to the policy, was an aspirational financial goal. And the reason I say aspirational is because there was no specific time associated with it. But it was to work overtime to establish and fund a fiscal stability reserve. The purpose of that fund, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, was to protect the community from a sudden storm event or something where all of a sudden we had significant unexpected financial need and or the need to respond to an unexpected and severe revenue impact. That the goal was to establish a fiscal stability reserve fund of $1 million or more. And over the course of the 10 years, particularly in the last several years, the City Council has made investments into that fund, deposits into that fund. And tonight we find ourselves presenting for your consideration what we call the final deposit. Now, I want to be clear to say that should we need to use that fund, we'll need to make additional deposits in the future. However, the item presented for your consideration this evening, for the first time, fully funds that aspirational financial goal, which was a part of the updated financial policies you approved in 2010. And before I answer any questions, just a reminder, in June of this year, working with our financial advisors, we worked with City Council on a refinancing and restructuring of some existing city debt, and the purpose of that was, the principal purpose was to further strengthen our fiscal stability reserve fund. So this is where we hoped to be in June. In fact, our fiscal position is a little bit stronger than we were thinking. As council is aware, we have weathered this recession so far better than we had anticipated, and there are lots of good reasons for that. So today, I bring forward for your consideration what we call the last deposit, with the big caveat that should you ever need to use it in the future, we'll need to put some more money in it. But with that, I'd be pleased to answer any questions. Before I do, though, I would like to point out and recognize and thank our financial advisors who are both here with us, Mr. David Rose, as you know, and Kyle Laux is also with us. He is the person that works with us day in and day out. Kind of like the auditors that were here before, we have a person that's our primary go-to, and then we have the principal in charge, and we have them both this evening. And while it was a team effort led by the City Council, they had a very important role in it as well. With that, I'll stop talking and answer any questions I can.
Questions of council? Not. Thank you for that presentation, Randy.
My pleasure.
And well said. And thank you, David and Kyle. So appreciate your presence here this evening. All right, is there anybody that's prepared to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance to transfer funds to the general fund of the City of Poquoson, Virginia for fiscal year 2021 for the purpose of boosting the fiscal stability reserve.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we make good on the promise that we set aside to do back 10 years ago, ish, and bring the fiscal stability fund up to $1 million. So Final questions or comments? Okay. Evie, please.
Certainly. Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman? Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilman Hux?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, very well. And the next item is a mid-year recommendation for fiscal year 2021. Tanya?
Well, thank y'all for that final deposit. There'll be another added addition to our CAFR for this year. So in front of you, we have a mid-year recommendation. This is typically done each year after we close out the audit, and we get good findings from the audit. It's always important. This year, we closed out better, as Randy mentioned, than we anticipated. We weathered the pandemic fairly well. Lots to be said when you don't have tourism in our locality where it ultimately affects us. But it also lots to say that our citizens came out and supported our businesses when we needed them. So with that said, we have a couple recommendations. The first is in 2022 budget, we have what is called a leap year for biweekly payroll. You have different variations of payroll that are processed, and the city of Poquoson does biweekly, which means we pay our employees every other week, their 80 hours. What actually is an extra fraction for each biweekly that catches out through the years, and it's coming for us on 2022. And what that means, it's an extra constraint that we have to deal with. So our recommendation tonight is to deal with that 27th payroll that we have coming up, is to reserve our fund balance in a tune of $296,000 to deal with that. Our second recommendation for tonight is we would like to accelerate the pay increases for our permanent employees. That includes our permanent full-time and our part-time employees of 2% for effective their paycheck, which would be January 1st, but we have to move it back to December 31st. And so that's going to be an acceleration, which we would have done for the 2022 budget.
Okay.
Okay?
Any questions? Thank you, Tanya.
Yep, thank you.
All right, council, anybody prepared to move forward with this ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance to appropriate funds to the various governmental funds of the city of Poquoson, Virginia for fiscal year 2021 as outlined by Tanya.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we do two things here. One is that we provide for 2022 for the extra pay period, and that we give our employees a well-deserved 2% bump. Okay, so not hearing any other questions or comments. Evie, please.
Certainly. Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Hux?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item, closing out a couple of things from the past. We've got resolution making appointments to the Colonial Community Criminal Justice Board.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution making appointments to the Colonial Community Criminal Justice Board with the following names inserted, whose terms will all expire on November 30th, 2023. Captain Kelly Waddell, David Coe, Honorable Virginia Munoz, and Roy Witham.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we approve the resolution of the Colonial Community Criminal Justice Board with those names inserted. Thank you very much for that. Evie, please.
Certainly. Councilman Hux?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Canella?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and finally, a resolution making an appointment to the Wetlands Board.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt a resolution making an appointment to the Wetlands Board with the following name inserted, whose term will expire June 30th, 2022. It will be an alternate, Mr. Charles Winstead.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. We approve putting Mr. Winstead on the Wetlands Board. Any questions or comments? Not. Evie, please.
Yes, sir. Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
and Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you very much. Randy, any closing comments? Good presentation, by the way. I think you made Tanya look, good.
Well, for those of us that stand up and able to do that, it's worth saying again, it's because they've already enabled us to be able to look good.
That's right.
We're presenting the information that they are primarily responsible for achieving. It is a team effort, and I want to thank you once again for that. I reflect where we were and where we are, and as I look into where we're going, I know that we are stronger for it, and we've done that together over the last 11 and a half years, but as it relates to these policies, over the last 10. Just a couple other things. I want to publicly acknowledge and thank the many people on staff and also volunteers who worked as part of our Boo Crew, our alternate Halloween offering that we did on Halloween. We served approximately 170 children in Poquoson and their families, some of whom obviously in the same household, but that was all done by volunteers with volunteer donated materials, and we were really glad to do it. And what made it even more special was to team up with the library, which combined that with some presentations. And in fact, in talking with our library director, the broadcast of the story times went so well that in the very near future that our bi-weekly story times will be a regular feature on our television channel because it went so well. And that has a lot to do with the upgrades and technology that you all have funded for us in the last 12 months that made that possible as well. So lots of thank yous from me today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Council directives. Bud, you want to start us off?
Yeah, first off, I'd like to thank Randy personally and the city staff for putting together that financial stability reserve. It saved the city a lot of money, did the city a lot of good. And Randy kind of led us through that, and we had a lot of people behind him helping him implement it, and they did it well. I also had opportunity to see our police force in action this afternoon. I happened to be at the intersection of West Creek Road and Little Florida Road, and there was an accident there. And they did an excellent job. They did first-class work, and I commend the police department for their work. There was apparently a hit and run, and before you can blink your eye, the running vehicle was caught, okay? And everything went very well. Traffic was managed well, and they did a fantastic job. I was impressed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councilwoman Andrews.
I just wanted to thank the citizens who came and spoke tonight. I know that's not always an easy thing to do, and pause for what they do to the city. I did go down there and look at the facility for the first time. I've never personally been down there, and it is a very nice facility and well-maintained, and thank them for their cooperation and what they contribute. And I know our feral cat population is drastically reduced because of them, and not all surrounding localities can say that about their own communities. So, and to just echo what he said about the stability fund, I think that's a great thing for our city to have, since we are a flood area, but who would have ever known we may have needed it for a pandemic. And hopefully this will be the last one, but maybe not. So it gives me a lot of comfort as a citizen to know that we've got that there to, if we do need it.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Canella.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just piggybacking on the stability fund, I can't speak for those of you that were on this council 10 years ago, but I'm sure you never would have imagined you would have seen that $1 million mark hit. And the four of you that were here, I appreciate what you've done for, especially the three of us got on. But I don't think we should throw our hands up and congratulate ourselves and stop either. I think in the years coming, we can make that mark 1.5 or $2 million. That's something that we certainly should stop investing in because it is so important. The second note, a little different topic. As I'm sure the rest of you have been hearing from some parents of children in our school systems and surrounding school systems, and when are kids going back, and how do we get them back, and there's a lot of issues going on in every city, but I just would really encourage citizens who reach out to us, and I give them this message, and I echo what the mayor says. We as this council, we try and do a really good job of staying in our lanes. And there's a reason we appoint a school board, and there's a reason that our schools are so good. And that is because that school board does a good job and school staff does a good job. So if you have those concerns, please reach out to the school board members. And many concerns are with certainly state guidelines. Reach out to your delegates and state senators and encourage them to reach out to the governor or the folks at the Department of Health and to get a better idea of when and what is going on. Because there's only so much we can do. But I know if there's anything this council and city staff can do, or the school board and school staff can do to get kids back in the classroom safely first, but soon, I know they will. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilman Hux.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of our election last week and how well it was conducted in the city of Poquoson, I thought it was appropriate to recognize and congratulate a very special group of people that we have that work behind the scenes. And I thought it was important to identify those folks by name as individuals for the great job that they do for us. I'd like to congratulate our registrar, Ms. Tammy Pinkney, and her staff, Ms. Tara Moore, Ms. Yvonne Boone, Ms. Rita Bird, Ms. Charlotte Herndon, and Ms. Fran Corey. I'd also like to recognize and thank our electoral board, Ms. Michelle Person, Mr. Robert Inslee, and Ms. Bonnie Condry. So thank you to that wonderful group of folks, and we congratulate them on a very well-conducted election in the city of Poquoson. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mickey. Councilman Green.
Mr. Mayor, since we do not have a second meeting, I'd like to remind everybody that the mobile food pantry will meet on the fourth Tuesday of this month, which is right before Thanksgiving, which is very appropriate. And that'll be November the 24th from 10 to 1. And we have purchased a number of frozen turkeys, so the people will have turkeys for Thanksgiving. It'll be another drive-through, and it's being hosted by the York Poquoson Social Services employees.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for doing that. You're right, that's a great timing. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Only like to tag on to what Councilman Huck said and congratulate our re-elected council members. We have 3 of them sitting around this area. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. And the other thing I'd like to say is I'll reemphasize what Randy started with. Parks and Rec, great job. I don't know who the second vehicle was, but I did see the first one. And there were some crazy characters there. Okay, and they did come by and visit my grandchildren, and I appreciated that greatly. But a great job and a great volunteer effort by Parks and Rec, and I'll just give my hats off to them. Hats off also to Tanya, to you and your staff. You always bring us good stuff and continue the great traditions that Poquoson's set forward. And so appreciate everything that staff has done this evening for us. Y'all continue to make us look good. So thank you. And that, when you say make us look good, that's the city of Poquoson. Okay. So that's all I've got. A motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. We adjourn. Evie, please.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Hux,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Very well. And we are adjourned.